Well, welcome to the September edition of Wake Up Newport. My name is Rush Hill, and I have the great honor of serving as the MC of this group when I'm in town. And so I'm very pleased that all of you are here today. I think you're going to learn a lot about the city. Mr. Rosansky and I got a little bit of a preview, and we saw things we didn't even know was going on. So should be an interesting morning. So to deal with our protocol, it is my responsibility to take the person that's currently writing on the walls, to have him come forward and do some introductions. The mayor of the business community, Dr. Rosansky.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hill. Good morning and welcome to the, September edition of Wake Up Newport. I'm Steve Rosansky, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we have a few important people here that I want to point out. So first, as we always do, I'll start off with our City Council. So Councilman Will O'Neill is here, or Mayor Pro Tem Will O'Neill. Yeah, he's here this morning, thank you. We have an extra special guest this morning, and she's just on her third day with the city. Grace Leung, our new city manager. I tried to get Grace to speak this morning. I figured, well, I'll give it a shot, we'll see. But she wisely declined, but she will be our speaker in December. So put that on your calendar. The first Thursday in December, Grace is going to be here, and she's going to give us her 2-month update on things happening here. 3-month update, right? It's 3 months, right? 3-month update on things that are happening here in the city of Newport Beach. Who else do we have here this morning? Howard Herzog on the Civil Service Board. Howard, thanks for coming. Unfortunately, I was writing my list in the middle of my introduction from Rush. Pierre Swan with the Irvine Ranch Water District. Thank you, Pierre. And if I missed anybody, I'm sure I'll be pointed out. And Stan here in front. This is the one and only time I'm going to introduce you, Stan. Stan always wants to know when I'm going to introduce him. He's one of our chamber ambassadors. And the president, actually, I should mention the chair of our Chamber of Ambassadors. That's right, Sheldon Singleton. Thank you, Sheldon. So with that, I will turn it back over to Rush, and he's going to introduce our speaker this morning. I'm actually kind of fascinated about the subject and looking forward to hearing about the projects going on in town. And then we'll come up again at the end and tell you a bit about some of the other things going on at the Chamber. So also want to thank, they're not here this morning, but Southern California Credit Union for being our program sponsor of the series this year. Thank you.
Well, this morning we're very pleased to welcome back to Wake Up Newport Seimone Jurjis, our Community Development Director. Within the game plan of Seimone's responsibilities, and I think he'll share a lot of this with you this morning, but we have building and planning and code compliance and life safety and fire and real estate. About a $12 million a year budget and about 60 employees. And it really is part of the heart of the city of the economic development activity. Seimone has had this position since, I think, August of 2017, and has fast become known in the community as a very level-headed, a very open and friendly individual to work with, as has our building department and our planning department become known as well. I think we're actually ranked number 1 in California in the building department. So that's a great privilege, I think, that we have of part of ensuring the quality of life in Newport Beach. So without further ado, let's give a Newport Beach welcome to Seimone.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Rush. I owed him $20 if he said something positive about me, since my boss is in the audience now, so thank you again, Rush. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending this morning. It's an honor to be part of the Wake Up Newport and being invited by the Chamber of Commerce. So again, thank you, everybody, and thank you to my staff. I have some staff in the back there. They're going to be kind of supporting me. My name is Seimone Jurjis. I'm the Community Development Director for the city, and I've had this position for about a year now. Before that, I was the building official for the city. So I've been in the city for total about 7 years. And now as Community Development Director, I oversee all of planning, building, and all of community development. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Today, we're going to focus a little bit about what the Community Development Department does, and then I'm just going to talk about projects and what's happening in Newport. And it's not everything in Newport, it's just going to be a kind of a sample of what we're working on. Some projects are under construction, some projects are going through the entitlement phase, so I'll go ahead and talk about that. All right, so Community Development Department. First, we have a mission statement, and I'll read it because it's important for me. It's a responsive, focused, and knowledgeable team of professionals guiding community development in the public's best interest while promoting the quality of life and safety of those who live in, work in, and visit the city of Newport Beach, right? For us, it is very important that we protect the quality of life, and we do that through the codes that have been adopted by the city. We have our municipal code, which we enforce. We have our coastal plan, which we enforce. We have our building codes as we enforce. As I tell everybody, you know, some of this stuff is not subjective to what staff wants or doesn't want. It is based on what the codes allow. We are a service-based department. In a sense, we provide a public service. We protect the public, and we ensure that the community is protected too, and it's all based on what our codes say. As Rush mentioned, we have about 60 employees that are serving the Community Development Department. And down that kind of those 6 little boxes I kind of wrote in, Planning Division. Planning handles all projects before they get approved by the city. So planning is always your first stop. When you say, my project has entitlements or my project was approved by the city, it all starts with planning. And they make sure that the projects are in conformance to the city's zoning code, according to the municipal plan, general plan, and our land use element, and our coastal plan. From there, it moves on to the building division, which regulates construction. And we have a staff engineers that check the plans, check the calcs, check the math, and we have inspectors to make sure that what is designed is actually what's built. In addition, we have a great admin team. We have a lot of administrative support. You know, it's a government agency. Unfortunately, we're still in that paper realm. We're not 100% paperless yet. So we have to move paper around. We have to have different signatures on different documents. You know, we support our planning commission, we support our appeals board, and we support our city council. So we have a huge admin team to kind of support all that writing that gets done. Code enforcement are their actual officers. They're not police officers, but they're municipal officers that just go around they do kind of drive-bys and they react to public complaints. We're not a proactive code enforcement in the sense that if somebody's landscape dies out and they're not part of an HOA, you know, we'll send them a friendly letter, say, hey, you know, please replant your landscape. Because, you know, we want to protect our community, we want to protect the kind of the beauty of the city. And so we have a few officers on our code enforcement staff, and that's what they handle. Believe it or not, Newport Beach owns and manages a lot of real estate. You know, we probably manage about 350 different parcels or commercial marina docks. And that real estate assets generate about $12 million in revenue a year. Galley Cafe, the Ruby's Diner at the end of Newport Pier, those are our tenants in our assets, and we have to manage that. So we have a small real estate team, a couple of very smart young ladies that's what they do day in and day out. They manage lease agreements, do assignments. Some of the properties that we own are on tidelands, so are owned by the state, and the state doesn't manage it. The state turns to the city to manage the tidelands. And that's what our staff does. So we have a small real estate team. And we work with fire prevention, we work hand in hand with the fire department. These are our fire department folks, fire prevention. These are the fire inspectors that go out there day in and day out to make sure these buildings are safe. So we work with our fire department because it is our service that we have provide to our development community. So we do our annual inspections for certain properties, but at the same time we have new development too that does occur within the city that we have our fire team that's involved. So that's just a little background of what the Department of Community Development does in Newport Beach. So I'm going to start talking about a little bit about more real estate. So by a show of hands here, who is in the real estate business in any form? A lot, right? There's a lot of people in real estate. And Newport Beach, real estate is a big business for us, right? From a real estate transaction standpoint, the Community Development Department actually supports the real estate business, just for your standard residential. And these are how we support. From all the paper we generate, from all the plans we approve and all the permits we issue, we have a very robust archive and digitized system. Day in, every day, we have realtors coming to City Hall to look at old plans, to look at old permits, because they want to know what they're selling. You know, when you get title insurance, you know, what is that title going to insure? When a bank is lending on a purchase of a property, how many units is it? What's the size of that property? So we have, I think, one of the robust archive systems in the entire county. This is the 7th agency I've worked for, and I've never seen anything like this. So we have actually a full team, and that's what they do day in and day out. They scan and digitize everything because, again, we serve our real estate community. As by the show of hands, almost half here are in real estate. So we know the transactions are a big business. And I have access to the MLS, and so I just pulled up, you know, what is the average to date. You know, the average sale price went up by 10%. That's significant. That's huge. I mean, from an investment standpoint, that's great. Our closings about 541 to date. These are just single family, so hopefully David Gerling doesn't try to go and double check my math here. But you know, it's on track. We do a lot of transactions. So not just with archive records, we actually have a program to actually do inspections. So per the city's municipal code, you need to get a residential building report. So it's a report that our staff generates that tells you the permit history of a project. You can also request for an inspection. So an inspector will go out there and do an inspection of the property. Not everybody requests the inspection, it's voluntary, but we will go out there and just double check to see if there's any major code violations, if there's a garage that was converted into a unit or there is no parking on the property. So these are some of the services we do provide our realtors and our brokerage community. So prior slide was just the real estate transactions. This is development activity, and I always want to highlight how much development is occurring in the city. So right now, I think yesterday's numbers is about 2,500 projects that are under construction, and that's everything from your small project to your brand new house. So from a real estate standpoint, if you just take those projects and try to convert that into what's that investment to the community, that's about $1.3 billion that's being poured back into the city. And that's on an annual basis. That's just not over the 10 years. That's over $1 billion is being poured back into the city, back into the real estate. So again, for us, we recognize real estate is a huge, huge business for us, and we want to support that. And what does all that mean? Well, this is how the city benefits from it, right? It is property tax. You know, 50% of the city's revenue is property tax. So how do we pay for services? How do we pay for our fire department? How do we pay for our police department? You know, and this is part of it. This is only a part of it. So a huge amount of that, the real estate transactions, because each time you sell property, it gets reassessed. Each time you develop a property, that property gets reassessed. And that all translates into the property tax. And so for us, it is important that we serve our real estate community, either through the development side or through the transaction side. And it comes down to this, right? Because we want to make sure that everybody's being properly served in a number of different ways. So now I'm going to talk about the upcoming development, and it's interesting. When I worked on this PowerPoint last night, I was kind of doing the finishing touches. My 11-year-old daughter was sitting next to me at the kitchen table, and what was she doing? She was working on a PowerPoint at 11 years old. I was like, I don't remember doing that at 11. I remember maybe I was handwriting a book report, you know, and coloring something, but my daughter's on her laptop with wireless headphones working on a PowerPoint. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I don't think she knows how to write, frankly. I think she just knows how to do PowerPoint. So diving into development, what's happening in the city. So here's a project that was recently approved by the Planning Commission. It is the Mariner Square residential project. I'm sorry it's kind of blurry, but this is, I got my little laser pointer here. This is kind of the Mariners kind of apartment complex, and right here is that kind of the Ralph's shopping center. You have the Mariners Elementary School. So all this will be taken down, and in replacement, we're going to build a really beautiful, I think beautiful, residential condominium project, about 92 units. They've started their construction documents, and they're working with our staff to get their building permits. So I think probably, I want to say they're going to break ground probably before 2019, And it'll be a phased building approach. And as far as average cost, they don't tell us what the pro forma is, of course. We're approaching $2 million and these are just townhomes. It meets all code requirements. There's nothing unusual about this project, but again, it's a beautiful project, about 92 units.
Who's the owner of that project?
Malaya Homes. Yep. And they bought it from the Irvine company. This is our population, our mom and dads are getting older, so we need more assistance, right? More living assistance. So this is Atria Senior Living. This is off Hospital Road, and next to Hogue, and there's already one here, and so now they're kind of expanding this portion here. In total, it's about 195 beds. Assisted, about 127 on assisted living and about 42 on the memory side. And my mother went through all that before, so I completely understand the demand and the need for something like this. But it's another really great looking project right adjacent to Hogue. It fits in the community and it's gonna turn out really well. So that was recently approved and they're just going through the permitting process now. As I said, there's entitlement, which is that pre-approval, and then the next stage, which is actually obtain your building permit. So that's what the stage they're in now. Coal project, everybody's heard about the coal project. It's another great project that we're working with the Shop-Off team. This is something that we are trying to get in front of Planning Commission, and we're optimistic that we'll be in front of Planning Commission before 2019, and we're still working out a schedule. We're looking at 260 units here. This is the coal center off Birch and Von Carmen, and we got the 3 residential buildings there to provide the 260 units. We're still working with them. Newport Crossing. So, where is this one? This is, the Benihana's next to the airport. So we have Benihana's there, we have Corinthian Way. I think Il Barone, this was the old Il Barone restaurant, and I think, they've recently moved. Was it Martingale, I think it is? Corinthian and Martingale. So 350 residential units. It's for rent. There is a park component there. When we say DEEIR, that is the draft environmental impact report. So some projects you need to analyze how they impact the environment. And EIRs, they're disclosure documents. They just tell you what the impacts are. So it goes into a draft mode until we get the public to comment on it, until finally it gets certified, and then it turns into kind of that final product. So right now we're still working on developing what that draft document is looking like. We think the document will be finished up by probably, I think November it is. Newport Village. This is on Coast Highway, and I think a lot of you have already kind of heard about this large project, kind of the Ardell's boat area there, and kind of the boat storage across the way. You may have driven by on Coast Highway and you saw the story poles along the way. You see kind of the flags up there, kind of showing kind of the massing of the project. We've seen one version of this project. It's a big project, and we recognize that. 175 residential units. At the time, it was 240,000 of kind of the retail and office. Since then, it's been a year since we've really seen this project, and we know that the property owner is really trying to redesign it and try to reduce that mass. So we're looking forward to see what the next version is, and that's the process, right? It's kind of an iterative process. They'll spend a lot of money with a project and bring it to us for review, get our comments, and then they'll go back and either kind of massage and tweak the project to kind of fit more the community. They always want our initial comments. My predecessor, Kim Brandt, shared this project probably a year ago with the community. I couldn't tell you what's the new design going to look like, but we're hoping it's probably going to be a little bit smaller, but it does have a very large marina there. Uptown Newport. This is another Shop-Off project that's actually under construction, and I didn't have time to actually go take photos or ask the team to send me some photos of the construction. But I thought it would be important just to see what the finished product is going to look like. This is the Jazz Semiconductor. This is Jamboree. Here's MacArthur. They're under construction right here for these 2 buildings there. About 462 residential units. They're rental. They're going to be wrapping it up probably January, February of 2019. It's already framed up. It's starting to take shape. You could see kind of these cool pools on top of the top deck with a bridge that kind of spans between the two buildings there. Really neat. Right now, it's a construction project, so once it's all finished, it's going to look spectacular. It's going to be a really gorgeous-looking project. But another 462 rental units that'll be coming online there probably early 2019. All right, Harbor Point. Again, a little bit more of assisted living style. This location is. Do you remember the Kitayama Japanese restaurant? That's this project. It's going to replace that Japanese restaurant. We are working with the applicant there on this project, and we're looking to go forward to Planning Commission next Thursday. We have a special hearing there, and we'll be doing a study session. So what happens on a study session is the applicant's there, and they propose the project to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission doesn't make any decisions. It's really just to get feedback from the commissioners and give an opportunity from the community to have some time to publicly speak about the project. Either they have an issue with the project or they support the project. And that's the kind of the transparency, and that's the public process. It's always about getting community input. And we'll get some input from the commissioners, but the commissioners don't make any decisions. From a unit count, it's about 120 beds, and it's assisted living too. So the Vivante, Newport Center, a little bit more on the assisted living side. So you remember the Museum House project? This is the Orange County Museum site, right off, Santa Cruz or San Clemente? I can't even see it. San Clemente, there you go. So this property has been sold to Nexus Development. Nexus has built. They build a number of different projects, and they have a Vivante in Costa Mesa. It's kind of a high-end assisted living. So this transaction has already taken place. They've already submitted an entitlement project to us. It's about 99 units, and we've just started this process with the Nexus team. It's another great project. It's probably going to be about 4 or 5 stories in height, 183,000 square feet, 99 units. Assisted living, a little bit higher end than their Costa Mesa project. But again, it's serving our kind of aging demographics here in town, and we're very supportive of a project like this. So this is a neat little project. This is off Ford Road, next to our Bonita Park. It's an AT&T building that's kind of tucked away, and AT&T owned this land that it's just kind of public space land that they sold off. It's not city land, it's not park space land. They've sold it to a developer, and they're looking to do a general plan amendment to kind of build this project. 21 condo units. It's not very big, and we're still working with them, and we're reviewing it. How does it impact? This is our public park, and we have our own public parking lot there. A project like this, we want to make sure that none of the visitors are kind of using our public parking lot, just because we want the parking lot to be free for the public, really. So we're working with the developers on this. Again, this is a project that we're supporting. It's in that review stage. They're looking to get entitlements from the city, and they're amending the general plan. But it's a small project, but it's not very big, and we think it's going to turn out really great at the end. Lido Villas. So this is location-wise. This is Lido House Hotel. So this is this is the old City Hall site behind the Lido House Hotel. Kind of in a Lido Village area. So it's about 23 condo units. This property was sold probably last year to Land Sea Development. It's a Chinese company that's come in and is doing some larger developments in town. So they've already started construction. This is a condominium project, 23 units. You can drive by it right now, and you'll see that they've already poured foundations, and they've already graded the site. So I think in about 6 months, you're going to be very close to finishing up that first phase. Not very big, but again, when you do these kind of residential type of projects, if you don't have to build everything at once, then you don't. You only build what you need, and you sell that, then you go off to the next phase. So I think they're going to probably build and try to get online probably at least maybe 8 units right away. So this is the dunes right? This is kind of our Dunes resort area here. And this is a hotel project that is proposed right about in this area there. And why is there being a hotel being placed there? Well, a hotel was kind of a try to be built there probably in the 80s, and it got stuck in litigation. From the settlement agreement, it came out that a smaller, limited-size hotel would be allowed. So the settlement agreement allows for a hotel. It's 275 rooms. There's still work. I don't have elevation views. I think that's still being massaged. But you could see how it's going to curve in this area here and kind of face the waterway there. It's going to be an attractive project. This is in the beginning stage. We have to look at the environmental impacts. We're still working on doing that. We haven't even started that process yet. But we call that the Dunes Resort Hotel. Very early in this process. It's going to be an easy year before we see anything of significance yet. But they've submitted the application, and we are working with them. But you can see it's kind of a cool curvature here, kind of facing that waterway. So that's really kind of in a nutshell of the projects that we have. What we get a lot from the public is that we get told that no one knew about this project, they haven't heard about this project. So we always try to take the opportunity to share with everybody, how do you stay informed? Social media, that's one way to stay informed. We do post on social media. If you go into the city's website, to the bottom right, you can have our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube links. Again, of course, my daughter knows all this, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Nextdoor. And the city's using Nextdoor a lot more. We found that there's a lot of the communities using Nextdoor. So we are posting on Nextdoor. So that's one way to stay informed. Of course, the press, looking at the local paper, our Daily Pilot paper, we publish in there. We're obligated by law to publish in our Daily Pilot. But we use a lot of email. We find that that's very effective too. So from an email standpoint, how do you get on our email list? And it's easy. And I kind of wrote it down 1, 2, 3. It says on the top of the City of Newport Beach website, you go, how do I? Click on that. Request email notification. That's number 2. And then number 3 is you pick the topic you want. Right? If you want to stay informed on planning commission stuff, you could pick on that. If you want to stay informed, at the time we had a lot of controversy over the fire rings, so you could stay informed on that. So this is a really effective tool. Do we find that more people tend to gravitate towards one resource versus the other? No. It's kind of split, and we have a lot of people on Nextdoor. We have a lot of people that use email. So we try to use everything, right? At the same time, we have my staff in the back, and Patrick and Dan is back there. If you're not signed up on email and you want to get email notifications, we have staff back there on a laptop. They're more than happy to sign you up today, actually. But if not, if you want to go back to your house or your business to get signed up, go ahead. Finally, this is kind of our last slide. We talked about real estate, we talked about development. We also recognize the business community. It's very important for us. We have a lot of businesses trying to start up in town. I've personally owned 2 companies in my past career. Running a business is hard. You don't understand business until you start a business. Then you realize how difficult it is to run a business, how difficult it is to get support from the local agency. We recognize that. We have a lot of businesses that come through our city hall that are looking to get the proper approvals, the proper permitting. So from just the understanding how the business community works and working with our chamber partners, we've put together a business ambassador program. And what that simply is that if you come through the business ambassador program, and it's through the city's website, you could sign up here. You just do a search on business ambassador. I didn't get a chance to kind of do the 1, 2, 3 steps. You can enter it in, and staff will get an email. And a number of different staff gets the same email that you're looking to open up a new restaurant. You're looking to open up a hair salon, right? We will reach out to you and contact you and ask you what's your address, what are you looking for, what's the size. It's an ambassador program. We're trying to make it as easy as we can because we recognize it is hard. It's a bureaucratic process, and we want to make it as streamlined as possible. And the only way we do it is to hold people's hand. right? That's the only way to do it. So we have a business ambassador program. We assign a city staff member to you to support you. One example of the business ambassador program was the gondola boats in town that are getting relocated. They needed a lot of support. They contacted our city manager's office and they wanted help. And so we put together our ambassador team to sit down with them and walk them through the process. They found a new location. So, how do they get the proper permit? They need a coastal development permit. And that's another process I didn't talk about today. So we put a team together, the ambassador team together, to help them kind of go through this process. We actually have a brochure, and my staff brought it. It's in the back, on the back desk there, on the ambassador program. So if you ever need support, please reach out to us. A lot of businesses reach out to Steve Rosansky. Please continue to do that, and we work with the chamber directly to try to provide as much support as possible for our business community. And then finally, read that on the left. Next time you're afraid to share ideas, remember someone once said in a meeting, let's make a film with a tornado full of sharks, right? Sharknado, I think they finished movie 5, right? Ideas matter, your thoughts matter. Stay informed, stay connected, come to our meetings. Thank you, everybody. Yes? So the question was, what's happening with Banning Ranch? So Banning Ranch, it didn't survive and get a coastal development permit, so the project died.
Why do you have to depend on the coastal commission for anything? Because they don't want anything done.
Yeah, I know, it's a good question, right? We want, and I'll agree with you, but unfortunately, that project at that time had to go through the Coastal Commission. It didn't survive the Coastal Commission. The project died. And I've met with the developers. They want to come back. They want to come back with a revised project that can get local support. It's the general question. Why, we're a local agency, why do we have to depend on others? And we have our own coastal plan, and so we're bringing back control to the local agency. We're trying to take over control, but some areas are still under the Coastal Commission. We don't have 100% control yet. Yeah, so have I. So Palisades Tennis Club, there is a thought to put a 24-hour fitness there, right? There is. Remember 24-hour fitness when it was in Fashion Island? The lease didn't get renewed. There's still demand for 24-hour fitness in the community, and it's a good community to be in. So 24-hour fitness is working with the property owner to locate a 24-hour fitness there on some of those tennis courts. Maybe not all the tennis courts, on some of the tennis courts. It's a long process. It's a general plan amendment. What was the other tennis courts? So Newport Beach, that property got sold. And they're looking to redevelop that property. They want to continue with the same level of service, but they want to step it up. They want a great dining experience, the great bar experience. They want that banquet facility. So they're looking for an operator that could come in and do something like that, but it's a development. It's a development project. We've sat down with the property owners and talking to them, and they're just talking to us about a vision, what they see in the future. For us, we don't manage their projects. We just answer their questions. Yes. Yeah, there actually is. So Newport Pier, there was a kind of a sushi restaurant at the end of the pier that went under. Their lease ended. From a city standpoint, we want to put another restaurant there. But if you think about it, that length of pier, that's over 1,000 foot. It's a 1,000-foot runway, I always say. And you have to get the public from where that energy is and have them walk all the way down 1,000 feet at the end of the pier to put a restaurant there. So not every single restaurant wants to be there. So we have a restaurant, a Blue Water Grill, that we've been working with. And it's numbers. It's a deal. And we're working with them. They're good operators, and we know that. But at the same time, they don't want to risk everything. So it's a process. We are working on removing that building because that building has been vacant a little too long, and we need to remove it because we need to do some work under the pier. The piers take a beating. Both our piers take a beating, and we got to put some money into it. So it's just routine maintenance. So we're going to remove that existing building, start doing our maintenance work, and hopefully by next year we can get something going on top of that pier and bring back another restaurant. Yes. The only thing I could say, from a question standpoint, there's concerns about what this business or what the operations of this is going to be. Is it assisted living? Is it memory care? Is it drug rehab? It's not going to be drug rehab. It's assisted living. You know, when my mother had dementia, she went through something like this, and it chokes me up when I talk about it. The only thing I could say from, when you have memory care and assisted living usually go hand in hand. It's just part of the aging process, right? It's not going to be drug rehab. The concerns anybody would have, I mean, frankly, anybody from assisted living, they don't really leave unless the family picks them up and takes them. When I went with my mother, nobody was visiting the residents. The parking lot was always empty, right? So I know there's probably concerns from the community, and I think it's a reaction that they don't understand what the project is. And that's something that's important, that we need to make sure that we communicate what this project is and what this project is not. It is not drug rehab. Assisted living, some memory care. Memory care typically goes with assisted living. It's just part of that aging process and part of that level of service. I think it is important that you come to the Planning Commission hearing next Thursday and kind of listen, because the applicant is going to be making a presentation. So I think it's a great opportunity, but it's not my understanding to have anything beyond assisted living. Yeah, it's up for sale, so it's listed on CoStar, and we're getting a lot of inquiries from different buyers, like, what can I do with the property? I think everybody wants to do something with it, so there's nothing concrete yet. They got the demolition permit to kind of tear down. They're putting it on the market just to see what they can get, and I think it's kind of a wait and see right now. This is the Pine Knot Motel? Right, that burned down, partially burned down. And you had a question, sir? The status of lower castaways. I don't have the status, and that's something from our Public Works Department, and so I'll be frank, I don't know.
All right, one more.
No more. Oh, yeah.
Stan, you had your turn. One more from someone else. Come on.
I guess I'm the only one. Why don't they put a shuttle on the pier to get to the restaurant?
That's a good thought too. We've talked about that. Is get a golf cart, something light, to go up and down the pier, and I think that's on the table. It's not something that we haven't discussed before. We've discussed that, but I think that's a smart point, because that's 1,000 feet to walk. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I think, and I certainly hope that you can understand now that our planning department, our building department, all of those elements of community development are really service-focused. And they're there to not tell you why you can't do your project. They're there to help you define how you can do your project. And that's a significant difference, and that's what makes Newport, Newport. So I thank you very much for attending. I would love to dismiss you at this point in time, but unfortunately, I have to bring back our astute CEO, or whatever you are.
You better get that memory care done quickly, because I think we need to. Got our first customer here. So thank you all for coming. I just want to let you know about some of the things we've got going on at the Chamber. I'm looking down my list. I can't even believe we're doing all these things in the next month. But this Saturday is our next major event, the Green on the Green Eco Expo. It's going to be up here on the Civic Green. It's a Green Expo. We got different kinds of groups. We got solar companies. We have a petting zoo. So if you have kids or grandkids, come on down. We have a petting zoo. We're going to have an e-waste drop-off. We're going to have recycling, e-waste recycling and document shredding. We've got, and Stan's going to be there too. We've got an art exhibit that's going to be in the community room. It's actually really interesting. I was amazed at the quality of these pictures. It's a outfit on the East Coast called Bow Seat. They run a competition every year, and they're actually middle school and high school students. And the artwork is, first class. I'm going to hang some of it in my office when I'm done with the exhibit. But Arts Commission granted us $1,500 to fund the exhibit, so we're going to have 30 of those paintings. We got also interactive art for kids. They're going to draw ocean designs on these bags and get to take them home. So certainly come on down. That's from 11 to 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Civic Center. Yes, Pam? Oh, yeah, well, and so that's our end of it. So the other end of it is the fire department's having their CERT Disaster Preparedness Expo. So it's actually two events in one. And you can go there and buy CERT supplies. You can learn CPR. They're going to have the police and all different agencies there that are going to be doing things. So it's actually is two things in one. And on top of that, in this room afterwards at 2 o'clock, Lucy Jones, if anybody's turned on the news after an earthquake, major earthquake in Orange County or anywhere in Southern California, Lucy Jones comes on. She's with Caltech. She tells you, don't worry, your house is not going to fall down on top of you. But I think she's retired now, but she wrote a book, and she's going to be here in this room at 2 o'clock to give a talk. So come to the expo, come to the Green Expo, come to the CERT Expo, and then come over here to listen to Lucy. That's all going to be on this Saturday. Next meeting after that is our Young Professionals Navigate group. We're going to be meeting on September 18th at the Lincoln Experience Center. We're partnering with Sushi Roku, so the first 40 people who show up get to learn how to make sushi. We're going to have a little sushi making class. The rest of them get to watch and hopefully eat appetizers and other stuff. But that'll be Lincoln Experience Center from 6 to 8 o'clock on September 18th. The next day, on September 19th, we're going to have our monthly business luncheon. Pam wrote me a little note here. It's going to be Dr. Andrew Stenhouse, Keeping Your Career on Track. And do we know where we're having it? Is it Fleming's? It's going to be at Fleming's. We meet from 11:30 to 1:30, and you can sign up for that online at newportbeach.com. Our government affairs, Rush helps with running government affairs committee meeting as well. We have a special guest this month. It's on September 20th. It's always the third Thursday of the month. We meet at our offices. Dana Rohrabacher, Congressman Dana Rohrabacher is our speaker, so we'll hear about some of the crazy stuff going on in Washington. Maybe he's the guy writing things to the newspaper. I don't know. Maybe he'll out himself. Got to come and see. But the only way you can come to that meeting is you have to be a chamber member. So that's one of our few meetings that we only open to chamber members. So if you're not a chamber member now, you can certainly sign up between now and September 20th. That meeting's from 8 to 9:15 at the chamber offices. 9:20. And you can bookend the day with us that day because we're going to have our Fire and Lifeguard Appreciation Dinner, 21st annual at the Marriott Hotel that same evening. I think it starts at 5:30 to goes to about 8:30. We're almost sold out, so if you want to come, there's only a handful of tickets left. We've been sold out for about a week now, but there's always a couple. So please go online and sign up for that. $65 to attend. Sunset Mixer. Our next Sunset Mixer is going to be at, I heard 2 other tennis clubs. What's the name of that one? Tennis Club in Newport Beach. It's the tennis club that's next to the Newport Beach Country Club. So they have big plans. They're doing some remodeling. Seimone didn't mention that one, but they're going to build some residential units there. They're redoing the tennis courts in the clubhouse, and they're relaunching their membership program. So we're going to be there for our Sunset Mixer. Those are from 5:30 to 7:30. Chamber members are free. Anybody who's considering joining the chamber can get on our guest list, and if not, then you pay $35 at the door to get in. But it should be great. I think they'll have a great spread for us. Last couple things. Don Yan here runs our Marine Committee meeting. That next meeting is on October 2nd, meets at Marina Park. We just had a great update from Lieutenant Chris Korn earlier this week. He's the sheriff that runs the Sheriff's Harbor Patrol in the 3 harbors, not just Newport Harbor. So that'll meet from 5:30 to 6:30. And last but not least, our next Wake Up Newport meeting. We're going to have an extra special guest flying in from Sacramento, actually, to speak to us, the director of Caltrans. So the top person, not the area director, but the very top person of Caltrans. So if you have any questions about things happening on the freeways, the new construction project on the 405, things in town, some people, or a lot of people don't realize that Caltrans actually controls half of Coast Highway from Huntington Beach to Jamboree. When I was on city council, we took over Jamboree to Laguna Beach, but they control a lot of what we do, a lot of what you were talking about and redoing West Newport and things like that. You have to have Caltrans involved. So they'll be talking about all the different projects going on. Probably be talking about the repeal of the gas tax. I don't know how much she gets into that because she's a government official, but she might be talking about all the money that is going into projects that is coming from the gas tax, so kind of backdooring it. But anyway, she's going to be here in October, so you definitely want to make that one. Yes? Oh, yes, sorry, Pam did give me another note here. And the last thing, we're going to have a workshop in this room.
No, UCI.
Oh, we're going to have a workshop over at UCI. It's a LinkedIn workshop. Rhonda Scher is going to be our coordinator for that, or the presenter at the workshop. She already spoke at our business lunch. It was a lot of great information on how to improve your presence on LinkedIn and to actually get people business on LinkedIn. And so that's going to be a 3-hour workshop. For members, it's $97, non-members, $110. If you don't sign up before you get there, walk-ins will be $137 and non-members are $150. So you definitely want to sign up beforehand. But I sat there and listened to her presentation for about 25 minutes, and I mean, it was chock full of good tips and good ways to improve your presence on LinkedIn. So with
There's only 35 seats.
yeah, only 35 seats, so it is limited attendance. And with that, I will thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you at the Green Expo and CERT Expo on Saturday.